Hello friends, what's up, what's up? My name is Danny D. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy you found me. If you're not new to my channel, welcome back, friend. I hope you're doing great. Today we're talking about what the heck is social media consent, and if you are new to my area of the internet, you might genuinely not know what social media consent is, or when I talk about it in certain videos like this one where I'm talking about consensual DMs or consent in the DMs, I'll link that right there. You might say, okay, I understand that concept of it, but what is social media consent overall? And I'm gonna tell you what that is today, so get ready. If you have no idea who I am an author, I am a speaker, I am an educator, helping you own the F out of who you are online and offline, and I do so by teaching the 3 pillars of my brand, which is iconic leadership, which is an acronym of integrity, clear communication, ownership, nuance, intention, capacity, and consent. And also I teach on social media consent and sustainable confidence. All these pillars and processes have different frameworks that are attached to them that are customizable for you. They're essentially like, hey, here's some different types of concepts. Let's open up a conversation around them, which is exactly what social media consent is as well. So when I first built social media consent, it actually came from a situation where a very close person to me told me that they had to block me because I posted, and I quote, "too many things people don't give a beep about." And that hurt my feelings because I was just starting my business. I was finally putting myself out there, and I had a full-on existential crisis about my brand, about my social media, about how I was showing up in marketing online. So in that moment, I kind of thought about it and I thought, is this person who is saying this my ideal audience? Is this person who I'm talking to right now, is that who I'm actually writing and posting my content for? And the answer was very clear. It was no. This person who had said this really not super nice thing to me was not the audience that I was writing for. And so I came up with this concept in my brain of, if you consent to following me online, you consent to all of me. And it kind of normalized me saying, hey friends, hey family members, it's okay if you don't follow me. It's okay if you don't like my stuff. It's okay if you unfollow me, if you mute me, if you block me. That's fine, because I know why I use my social media and I know how I use it in the way that I do and why I use it in that way. So if I'm sharing myself on the internet and I'm talking about confidence, say, and I'm talking about confidence maybe as a plus size woman or something, that's who I'm going to be sharing this information for. So the stories that I share are going to be centered around that. The content that I share, the pictures that I share are going to be centered around that. Now, if you're someone who doesn't fit that demographic, you might say, okay, well, I can't see myself in this. And that's okay. Not everything has to be for you. And so I broke this up into consent as a consumer and consent as a creator. So consent as a creator says, I'm going to take full ownership over my social media platform, over how I use it, over why I use it in the way that I do, over my branding, over the words that I use, the behaviors that I do in the comment section of my posts, or how I choose to govern myself in the DMs, all those different things. That's on me and taking ownership of that. And if you consent to being on my little space of the internet and you literally consent by clicking that follow button, then you're consenting to being in that space and to absorbing what I have to say. So you can always unfollow, you can always mute me, you can always block me. And it doesn't matter if you are my mom or if you're a friend or whatever. I know that has nothing to do with me. That just means that you don't want to see the content that I share in terms of that demographic that I'm gearing myself towards, right? And that's fine. Not everyone has to be super gung-ho about your business or your brand or whatever, especially if it doesn't speak to them and it doesn't speak to their value system. It's just social media. At the end of the day, it's just an Instagram page. Like, it's gonna be okay. There are so many other amazing things that are a part of who you are that is not on the internet. You're actually probably way more fascinating outside of the internet, and you can communicate that through social media onto the internet, but there's a whole lot of life that happens when you log off of your computer. And so it's okay if you don't want to follow my Instagram, or if you just want to watch my YouTube videos, or if you just want to go to my in-person events or my workshops or whatever, because there's something there for you that you consent to consuming, which brings me back to consumership in social media consent. So what you consent to consuming. So that follow button, that like button, that comment button, you have a choice. When you go to someone's page, you click, yes, I want to follow this person. Yes, I want to see their stuff. And the more you interact and engage with things on the internet, so if you're on TikTok and the more you watch a video, the algorithm says, you like this? Do you want more of that? And you start to say yes to seeing more of it with your actions, with your behaviors, and with that actual follow button. So that follow button is like a consent button. I want to see this. And you can always unfollow people. And if you don't want to start something because maybe someone does take it personally, you can mute them. And if they come to you and they say, hey, did you see this post that I posted? You don't have to say, oh no, oh, I muted you, I'm sorry. And say, no, actually I didn't. Do you want to show me right now? I'd love to see it. I actually didn't see it on my page. Because realistically, as a consumer, you only see like 10% of the profiles that you follow. And as a creator, your audience only sees like 10% of the stuff that you post. I don't know if that's a real ratio, but they don't see a lot of it. Let's just say that. They don't see everything that you're posting. It's okay to repeat yourself. It's okay to post stuff like that. Like as a creator, it's okay to take artistic ownership over the experience that you create on your corner of the internet. And as a consumer, being aware of what you are consenting to consuming on the internet. Which brings me to my third pillar thing of social media consent, which is we've covered consumership, we covered creating online. Now we're gonna talk about marketing online as someone who makes an income through social media, whether that's influencer marketing, whether that's you having a personal brand, whether that's you selling services or creating actual products and shipping those out. Your social media is a fully immersive experience of your brand. And it is a way for you to say, hey, here's what you can expect when you buy from us. So it's really a form of informed consent for your audience, or that's how I teach or talk about it or see it, you know? I'm gonna give you informed consent of what you're signing up for when you work with me. So I'm gonna be myself on the internet. I'm gonna teach the way that I teach, whether you're in a classroom with me or whether you're on my YouTube, right? There might be places that I'm a little bit more, you know, open, or I speak a little bit more on certain topics, or I'm a little bit more casual or whatever, but I'm gonna be myself because that's who you're gonna get when you sign up to work with me. And I wanna make that so clear. So when you sign up for whatever you might sign up with for me, whether it's free, $25, whether it's an entire program with me, you know what you're signing up for, or you know the energy and the behaviors and the type of communication you're going to be able to expect on the other end of that transaction. And I think that's really major. There's a bunch of nuances when we talk about marketing too, and consensual marketing, which is when we're talking about social media consent is, do you have consent to share testimonials? Did you talk to those individuals and give them informed consent on where you're sharing it, when you might be sharing it, and if they're okay with their face being shown, they're okay with their names being shown, if they're okay with their likeness being shown, right? Do you have that in written documentation or in a conversation, or did you ask for consent? Was it shared with consent? There's also an aspect of consensual DMs, which I said that I tagged the video above here, which is, are you going into someone's direct messages and assuming that they kind of owe you something when you go in? So are you cold pitching them? I have another video on cold pitching, but are you cold pitching them and expecting and demanding they respond to you? Because that's not really consensual because they didn't consent to that. And when we're talking about social media consent, it's about honoring our autonomy, like I'm my own person, and your autonomy. You are your own person. So you might not have the same capacity as me, and you might not have the same privileges as me, and you might not have the same accessibility as me, and you might not have the same, and the other way around as well. And you might not even consent to the same privacy dynamics as me. Like maybe I'm much more open about certain things, and maybe you are more private for your own personal reasons or lived experience. Those are things that we need to take into account. We don't know everyone's situation. So consensual experiences on social media or treating social media as a consensual experience can be so helpful for us to protect ourselves as creators and consumers, and also be really kind to those who we're marketing to and not create toxic dynamics within that experience as well with manipulative marketing or a way of coercing people into signing up with us, because that's not good. That doesn't feel good, right? If you're only in my program because I've manipulated you to be there, that doesn't feel great. So it's really taking into account people's lived experience, who they are as people, their capacity, and honoring that while honoring our own as well. And there's so many layers to consensual marketing. There's so many layers to social media consent in general. There's so many layers to consumership and social media consent. So I will leave a link to a $25, 25 or 27, 27 or 25, okay, dollar workshop, like a full-length workshop for you in the link below. I'm also opening up my entire program because this is a really nuanced conversation, and depending on your industry, depending on if you're a service provider, if you have actual physical products, if you're an author, right? We talk a lot about consensual storytelling. So like, what are you consenting to sharing of yourself online, and what's your audience demanding of you, and are they actually entitled to that information? Are they entitled to your privacy? No, they're not. But we go in depth with all those different things so that you can protect yourself as a creator, and so that you can protect yourself as a consumer and a digital marketer as well, which means that you're marketing digitally on the internet, right? And I think that this is super huge because there's not a lot of support for creators online in terms of actual social media consent, creating consensual spaces for ourselves and those who follow us, and honoring each other online. Online can be a super toxic environment, and when we share ourselves, people can feel like they're very entitled to us, or we are entitled to the people that we follow, and that's just not the case. So I'll leave the link for that below. I'll also leave the waitlist and or sales page, depending on when you're watching this, below as well, so that you have access to those to learn a little bit more. Because like I said, it's a big conversation, and I want to make sure this video is digestible for you. So I talk about this stuff all the time. You can find it on my TikTok, you can find it on my Instagram, you can find it in my Facebook group and on my Facebook page. I'll link all that stuff below as well. And one of the cool things about this program that I'm running, like the actual social media consent program, it is live. So there are recorded aspects, there's bite-sized recordings, there's more long lecture style recordings, and there's a community container that we chat in as much as things come up. There's also 3 live group calls that are education based. So it's almost like I'm teaching in real time, and we're having a lot of conversations and Q&As in there because these topics, they have depth, and not everyone's experience is the same. And I think it's important to have those conversations and acknowledge that, especially when we're talking about consensual things in the DMs and marketing and all that stuff, because it could be something as simple as, hey, I got this DM. Is this consensual? Well, guess what? You can actually share that in the community container, and we can have a conversation on why it might be and why it might not be. Because at the end of the day, consent is gonna look different for you than it is for me, because my barriers, my safe square of the internet, or what I feel comfortable sharing of myself, is going to vary. Same with you as well. And you might want more privacy, less privacy. You might want to share in different ways, or consent to sharing verbally through podcasts, but not written through captions, right? Like there's different things to honor our own humanity and how we function and how we work and how we teach and how we live and how we absorb. So I hope that helped. If you have questions, leave them below. I could do more videos on this, and I hope you're having a freaking fabulous day. So kick ass, take names, change the world. You're fabulous. Stop being so secretive about it. Bye guys.